The 48th season of the Rivals Racing League will be using the NASCAR Racing 2015 season mod pack. And in this video, I will be going over all of the features included in this mod pack, specifically the brand new features that I have added to this mod pack for the first time. So let's go ahead and dive into this. Now, before I go ahead and start looking at the features, I would like to say that all EXEs that are used in this mod pack can be downloaded separately, as well as any tracks that we run this season and the core INI file. This means that you are not required to download the mod pack to run any of the races next season. If you want, you can download each of the EXEs separately, each of the tracks separately, you get the setups and the core INI file, and use it in any NR2003 series folder that you desire. You will not get any of the extra graphical updates that I have done, or have all of the features in one place. So I would still recommend downloading the mod pack itself. However, if you don't have the storage space on your computer, or if you're not going to run every race in the season and just plan to run a race or two, then you are more than welcome to download everything individually. Or, if you just prefer to do that, then you are more than welcome to do so. I have a README file here that includes all of the information that I'm going to go through in this video. It lists off what EXEs they have, what physics type they use, the different types of graphical updates that have been included, and how to enable and disable them. It also includes something about something discussing preset folders that I will get into in just a minute, as well as where to find the currently listed schedule for next season. So let's go ahead and dive right in. You will immediately notice that there are quite a few different EXEs to choose from when loading up the mod. This is because I have EXEs for each different type of package that could be run. If you notice that for ARCA, Truck, and Xfinity, there are 4 EXEs each. For the Cup Series, there are 6 EXEs. For the majority of the mods, they are Dirt, Road Course, Super Speedway, and then Regular. These would be run, for example, Regular would be run at Charlotte, Super Speedway would be run at tracks like Daytona, Road Course would be run at, very obviously, the road courses, and then Dirt would be run at dirt tracks. The one exception to the 4 EXEs is the Cup Series, which has 6. This is because it has additional high downforce and low downforce EXEs, because 2015 had a low downforce package that was run at tracks like Darlington and Kentucky, and a high downforce package that was run at Michigan and Indianapolis. So those are included here, as well as the regular package, the road course, the super speedway, and the dirt series. The main ones you'll want to pay attention to are the ones we will be running for next season, which is the GNS mods. The 2015 GNS, which has dirt, road course, super speedway, and then of course the base game. These are the EXEs that we'll be using for points races next season. However, we might be hosting special events on off weeks, or for all-star race activities, or things of that nature. And I will actually be getting into the non-points races later in this video, because I have planned out there will be 3 non-points races next season. They will be the Budweiser Shootout, which is at the very beginning of the season, the All-Star Race, which will be taking place somewhere in the middle of the season, and then lastly, the Prelude to the Dream will be taking place at the end of next season. The reason for that is because the Prelude to the Dream is going to be a dirt race at Eldora with the dirt late models. I'm still currently working on that EXE, trying to get it to the best that I possibly can. And in addition to that, I also would like everybody to have at least one dirt race on NR under their belt, which is why it's at the end of the season, because we do have a dirt race on the schedule at Eldora. So everybody should at least have some understanding of how the cars drive, because the dirt late model drive is relatively similar to the Xfinity Series car in terms of how it handles at a dirt track. Now, for most of my previous mod packs, I've recommended that you copy and paste over your app core rend_dxg and player folder from a previous mod pack or from the base game. And while I think that is, I wouldn't recommend doing that here unless you're having technical problems. The graphical settings on this might be too high for certain drivers, so if you have to turn those down, you're welcome to do so. But I would recommend keeping what I have, as I have made multiple adjustments. I believe the core file is the same, and app doesn't particularly matter, but the players folder, I have specific set options, specifically through Reshade, that I would recommend keeping on. So let's go ahead and dive into the mod pack itself. So you can see there, I've updated the splash screen of the game, and I have also updated the UI. Now, some drivers might already know what this is. I got this from armorydigital.com. It's an updated menu screen. I believe that's also where the splash screen... Actually, I think the splash screens came from Sim Racing Design. But I thought this looked cool, and I wanted to include this for the EXE because the old menu was admittedly sort of stale. So let's go ahead and take a look. I have made a few adjustments to certain things. Let's take a look at the replay menu. So you can see I've also updated the track loading menu. And let's go ahead and look here. So this is what the replay menu is going to look like. Now, you are welcome to change this. This is just what it comes with default. Online, you can find many different types of tickers. But for now, this is the one that I thought looked the best, and so that's why I went ahead and included it with the EXE itself. So now let's take a look at some of the paint schemes. So you can find every single paint scheme that was released for the 2015 Xfinity Series mod, or at least all of the ones that were actually run in a race. Perhaps not all the fantasy cars are here, but these are all the paint schemes that were actually run in 2015, as well as, I believe, a few 2016 cars were accidentally included. This is because of the way that the car sets worked, but I believe it's very easy to recognize these cars. They all are listed specifically as 16. And they will not be allowed for use in the points races next season. But for now, you have all of the 2015 cars right there. Now, there's a reason why I would recommend using my preset player options. Obviously, you'll want to rename them to whatever account you're using. But I actually have a preset for controller users now. This preset for controller users changes the game of NR entirely. The goal was to make it drive similar to NASCAR 15, not by changing any of the actual physics about the game. The EXEs are identical. However, it changes the way the driving of the car itself works, how the controller interacts with the car. I've made some changes, and that's why I would recommend using the controller setting here. And I'll get into further uses for the controller settings. Actually, I guess I'll go ahead and do it now, because the next thing I was going to do is show some of the on-track activity. Let's go ahead and use controller. So when you go into the options menu to select your controls, one thing that I have done is put on input momentum. This really helps controller users. Although I would say you can certainly turn throttle and brake input momentum down. I set it like this to make it drive like NASCAR 15 did. Um, However, you could turn the input momentum on the throttle and brake down if you are used to managing your throttle and brake inputs on controller. But I would highly recommend you leave the input momentum for the steering exactly where it is. And I'll get into why that is in just a moment. So before I move on, I'll go ahead to the championship menu and show how to find the current schedule. What you can do is label, let's say, you don't have to label it this to get it, but I'll just go ahead and put it like that. And then what you can do is go down and select RRL Season 48 as your schedule. And if you look through, it has the names of every race listed here. And it shows you exactly which version of each track is going to be used. I'll just briefly scroll through the majority of these races, as there are 36 of them. So, although I suppose it won't take me too long to click on all of them. But there are a couple of these races in particular that I would like to mention directly. So, the Chevy Rock and Roll 125 will be one of two music-themed races where drivers are encouraged to run music-themed cars. So, after your favorite band or song, we did that last season. We will be doing that here as well. And then you are also welcome to run those music cars at Nashville later in the season for the Music City, I believe the Music City 85. Welcome to run those cars in that race. So moving forward here, I would like to mention also that this race at Michigan, as well as the race later in the season at Indianapolis, will be two non-super speedway tracks that will be utilizing the super speedway EXE, just like they did in real life. I am very excited for that. I hope that you guys will enjoy using those EXEs. Michigan should be basically a wide open plate track. Maybe a crack of the throttle on corner entry, but I doubt it. Probably in dirty air you'll have to lift a little bit, but in clean air you should be wide open, especially if you're using the PJ1. Indianapolis, on the other hand, will require a lift into turns 1 and 3, but it should be wide open in 2 and 4, at least in clean air. Moving forward, we have Texas, New Hampshire, and this race at Kentucky is going to be part of two shipping races. There, I believe, is one for FedEx later. Yes, there is. And I'll actually be having a little mini championship to see who has the best average finish between these two races. So it's going to be like a little mini championship. It won't be awarding any extra points or anything like that. It's just going to be kind of like the ARCA Sioux Chief Short Track Challenge type thing, except it's only going to be between two races, one sponsored by UPS and one sponsored by FedEx. And as you might expect, drivers are encouraged to run a paint scheme with a throwback to their favorite shipping-themed paint scheme, or they can make their own. Either one is perfectly fine. Moving on, we have Pocono, and then Road America. Here's the Brickyard, which will be using the Super Speedway package. Pensacola. Eldora. Oh, something I should mention about Eldora here. The game doesn't have tire wear for dirt tracks, so pit road will be closed for the entire time, unless, of course, you get towed. But also, we will be having single file restarts for this race, which is why you don't see like a pace speed listed, because it's not going to have the usual caution procedure. It's going to have manual cautions for that race, because we're going to be doing some special caution type stuff for that track. We have Atlanta, Darlington, Sebring here. And by the way, it has the amount of laps the race is going to be listed here as well. However, Sebring will not be a lap counting race. It will be a 48-minute race. Here is the end of the regular season, the Firecracker 125 at Daytona. After this, the chase starts. Now, for the first race of the chase at Chicagoland, chase banners are not going to be required because there will be 2 championships going on. But I would suggest having for this race, drivers run a paint scheme themed after their favorite movie or TV show. More specifically, Nickelodeon shows, but you're welcome to run it for any TV show or movie. Here is the second shipping themed race. And then we have a double header at Charlotte. So the first round of the chase will be Chicagoland, Dover, and Charlotte. And this is also the first of 2 doubleheader races, as it's the Roval. Then we head to the Oval for the start of the Challenger round. Or I believe this is the Contender round. I think it's Challenger, Contender, Eliminator, and Championship. So we have Charlotte, Nashville for the second music-themed race, and then the elimination race is at Talladega. Now, this isn't just any Talladega. This is Talladega 2007. So just be aware of that. And then for the eliminator round, we have New Kansas, Texas 2010, and Martinsville. And then for the season finale, we have Homestead. So, that should do it for the schedule showcase. Let's go ahead and take a look at 1 or 2 last other features that you'll find. It's not many of them. This is pretty much the last main feature. Appears that my wheel is having some slight problems. Oh, well, I know why. It's because I'm on the controller. So let me go ahead. Although you might have already seen the graphical updates I've done there. But let me go ahead and select player info. And I'll also drive around some of the tracks real fast just to kind of give an idea of how certain tracks are going to handle. So first things first, I'd like to, before I load onto the track, mention also the non-points races. I think it's pretty self-explanatory that Eldora will have the Prelude to the Dream. The Budweiser Shootout will be held at Daytona 1959. I'll go grab the Super Speedway EXE to showcase some of those tracks first. Let me make sure I'm on the right setup here. I'm on the truck setup. Well, I suppose I can use it. I'm actually very tempted to run the truck series for the shootout. That's an idea I'll float here in this video. See if you guys would like to do that. I think that would be pretty fun, but it's up to you guys. So this is Daytona 1959. You could end up outside the track if you hit the wall at the right angle, so just be aware that that is a possibility. Of course, you can reset to pit road. well, not reset the hero, but you can tow. And after all, this is not a points race. Let's see if I can't get over the wall here. Well, I didn't get over the wall, but I think I had a pretty nasty crash anyway. There's a catch fence on the front straightaway, so long as you crash on the front stretch, you should not go over the wall. If you'd like to see the replay of how this car crashes, here you go. Oh, I think there might be an invisible wall there, so that's nice. Well, I was kind of hoping you could fly out of the track. I thought that'd be pretty funny. Anyway, let's take a look at Indianapolis. Also, so you probably have noticed the HUD is completely different. So some of you might recognize this from NASCAR 09 on the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. I thought that this graphic update looked nice. I hope that you guys agree with that. Now, I have the iRacing sound pack currently in the mod, just because I thought that one sounded the most accurate to what the Xfinity cars sound like now. They're basically a COT, so that's why I included it. As you can see here, I'm basically wide open around here. Although you'll probably be able to hear it. I have to make a small lift into one here. Not a major lift, but it's still a lift. Anyway, I think that's enough of that. But I hope you guys like the new menu screen there. Anyway, I believe that's it for the Super Speedway package of things. Find a different track to test. So the All-Star race is going to be held at Texas, and it's probably going to be with the Truck Series. Just because I think those race really well. It's pretty fun. Let me go to Atlanta to show you how this car drives. So this car is very interesting. It's not exactly what I would call fast in a straight line. It goes about as fast as, well, it's like in between of the 2016 Cup car and the 2021 Cup car. It's got a lot of downforce, but not a whole lot of power under the hood, but it's still got more torque than the 550 car had by quite a lot. 550 car had, well, 550 horsepower restricted. This has 650 unrestricted, so you can see that throttle management is still going to be important. However, it's not going to be anything as severe as the 2010 Cup Series car that we are currently running. Also, this car's kind of tight here on entry. But we have 2 races for Atlanta this season, so I hope you guys enjoy this track. The setups are not included with the Modpack on base. However, I will have a separate folder for all of these setups once testing is complete. I have a baseline of each setup, but I want to go through every single track and do at least a few testing laps with as many drivers as possible. These testing sessions will be held periodically throughout the next several weeks, pretty much at any time I can get drivers on. So not everyone will be able to attend every session. It's pretty much just going to be whenever I have time for it. But I'm hoping to get in as many testing sessions as possible to have all of these setups in. I'll also include some setups for the truck and the Cup Series car and the ARCA Series car, because drivers might find that they like those enough that we can keep this mod pack around for next season and just use a different EXE. Maybe instead of using Xfinity, we'll use Truck or something like that. But now it's time to talk about some of the improvements I've made to the EXE itself. So, for the tracks, I have vastly improved tire wear and tire model settings. I've improved grip at certain tracks. I've improved the rubber line as well. And I'm excited to see what you guys think of each of these circuits. To the EXEs, I've made many improvements to the tire model once again. This time in the way that the tire takes on heat. That should result in a more competitive race. But by far what has seen the most improvements is the dirty air. Side drafting is basically no more. It still exists, but it's nowhere near as strong as it's been in past seasons. Now, regular draft and dirty air have returned. So if you remember the 550 cars, the dirty air in this car reaches further back than the dirty air in the 550 car, but it is overall less severe than the dirty air in the 550 car. Now, this shouldn't really play any sort of a meaningful factor in the short track races. The tracks that, I mean, I wouldn't even expect it to show up at Darlington. You might start to notice it at certain mile-and-a-half tracks, but the ones where you'll really notice it are the super speedway tracks like Indianapolis and Michigan. Those will have some pretty severe dirty air problems. I'm not particularly concerned about Michigan, seeing as how there's 3 different usable grooves with right on the bottom, the middle, and the PJ1. And then even then, you can kind of run the wall with the PJ1 with this car. It's kind of strange, but you can do that. Indy is what I'm mostly concerned about, and I think most drivers should be concerned about. That race is going to have quite a lot of dirty air. So, you know, it's going to have quite a big draft on the straightaway, but the dirty air is going to be very, very severe. You can see here, Atlanta's got quite the high tire wear amount. I'm only on lap 8, and I'm already really off the pace, about half a second. So, this is like some Darlington type tire wear, but this is kind of what you expect from Atlanta. A lot of tire wear. But the handling of the car really hasn't gone away. It's just kind of slower. A little bit tighter, but not terrible. You can see the car still kind of gets to the bottom line here. Let me go ahead and swap tracks for the rest of this. But I suppose that really is it for the EXE improvements that I've made. I have obviously changed tons of values about the engine power and the downforce and all that good stuff. I've changed a lot of stuff about this EXE. But at the end of the day, it still is NR2003, so it's nothing crazy. Let's take a look here at how Martinsville drives. Martinsville is one of the tracks that I have overhauled quite a bit. I noticed that we haven't been really running accurate Martinsville speeds for a while. The Cup cars usually used to get back around 2015 about 118 down the straightaways, and so I had to really change a lot of the grip levels at Martinsville. They were also hitting about 60 mile an hour in the corners, so now we should be able to do that with ease. Also, you can see it's pretty easy to kind of hold the bottom, although I gassed it up a little too early there. I have a bit of a tighter setup for Martinsville, just because I don't want people really burning the rears off so bad they spin out. But I probably will change that during testing. Probably run a looser setup for Martinsville than is needed. But regardless, I am pretty excited about this season, and I hope you guys are as well. The Modpack should be out very soon after uploading this. It might actually be out alongside me uploading this. Kind of depends on how fast it uploads to Google Drive. But I'm really hoping that we can do some testing pretty quickly for this one, because I'm really, really excited with how this turned out, and I hope that you guys are as well. I hope you guys are excited for this season. We've had a lot of controversy over the last season or so. A lot of races that have just been flat out dominated by one or two drivers. So I'm hoping that next season will kind of bring the competition level back. It's lower horsepower, higher downforce, and I think that should open the door for drivers to race each other a lot harder rather than racing the track as hard. Now, I would like to say a couple of things about that specifically moving into the next season. This is where I'll kind of go over rules changes and stuff like that I have made regarding the upcoming season. So, some races will have a slightly longer race length, and by slightly I do mean just by a handful of laps. Road courses have been increased by about 4 to 5 laps, although Sebring's been doubled in length, but that's less about making Sebring super long and more that Sebring was only 24 minutes, which is much, much faster than any other race that we have on the schedule. Now it's 48 minutes. It's still probably a little bit shorter than most of the races we have on the schedule, but still it is noticeably longer, and she should have to make at least one pit stop during the race. This also means I'll be more inclined to throw cautions during the road course races since they're slightly longer. It won't be as much about just getting them over with. We will probably have them with yellows during those races. For certain oval races, like the short tracks, they've been increased by roughly 25 laps. Martinsville has been increased from 125 to 150 laps. Richmond has been increased from 100 laps to 125. Mile-and-a-half races have been increased by 10 laps, so races that were 70 laps are now 80. Super speedway races have been left largely the same, at about 50 laps, and then of course the Daytona race is 100 laps still. No increases in that department. Stages have been completely removed. No points will be awarded. Stage breaks, nothing like that. This is because I feel like stages were creating a very big gap between drivers in the field. At first, Jake and I specifically would kind of lay back and plan for the end of the race, but eventually we figured out that so long as we saved just enough tire to have something at the end, we could still go up there and win the stages. And so that really allowed Jake and I to just pull away in the points. So next season we will not be having any stages at all except for in the All-Star race. And those will not result in any sort of points awarded, obviously. So now I'll go ahead and talk about some of the other changes. We actually haven't made many changes for next season in terms of points or anything like that. The format stays identical. However, I will be getting rid of seeding bonuses for the chase next season. There will be no seeding bonuses at all. When we enter the chase, everybody will be at ground zero. I will have win bonuses, but that's it. So any wins you score in the regular season will give you 3 extra points for the first round, and then any extra point or wins you score in the first round will be 3 points towards the second round, and so on. The last round will not have any extra bonus points, as you might expect. So I've made a couple of changes to some of the tracks. This is the main one, Phoenix. This one I'm really happy with it. I found this online, made the usual RRL adjustments to it, and I think it has turned out fantastic. Not sure why it seems so wide compared to the BBMC version of this track, but this is new Phoenix with no PJ1 and the start-finish line where it should be. I am very happy about this. Now, just because there's no PJ1 doesn't mean there isn't grip on the outside. There is some grip up there. I think the bottom is still the preferred line, but there is grip on the outside. Also, because of how wide the track is, going down on the apron really messes with your lap time, and I could not recommend doing that. But I think this track drives super duper well, and will be sticking around for future seasons. Not a whole lot of tire wear here. The track handles really well. It gets kind of tight if you overdrive the corner, but that's just kind of how Phoenix is. If you overdrive, the car can really plow off the turn, but I think it turns pretty well, actually, you know, all things considered. I might have to loosen it up a little bit on corner exit, but I think the car handles really, really nice. And it's gonna, I think this is gonna be a fan or a driver favorite track. I think you guys are really gonna like this one. It does have the dog leg on the backstretch, but you can see the car bottoms out hard, and it also really messes up your entry to the next corner when using it. On top of that, you can't go all the way down there on restarts to cut the front stretch, so yeah, it's not gonna help you all that much. Apron really doesn't work a whole lot here, but it is still an option if you want to have it. Take a look at some of the other tracks on the schedule. I'll make a stop here at Chicagoland. And now these setups are absolutely not set in stone. That's why we're going to be doing a lot of testing with each track. But this also gives the opportunity to check out some of the graphical updates I've done to the mod. But this is probably going to be the last track I test. I've pretty much gone over everything I wanted to. Of course, if you have any questions, please ask me in the Discord, and I'll be happy to answer them. Oh, I have made a couple of sound improvements to the game as well. Included in the EXE are a couple of Gentlemen Start Your Engine packs, which you can put in your sound folder, or they're in the sound folder, and you can select any of them if you'd like to have different Gentlemen Start Your Engine sounds. They're all from 2015, so it should be accurate to the current cars that we are running. So you can see this car is almost wide open around Chicagoland to start the run, but as the tires wear, it, well, is not, it's not almost full throttle around here for sure. And in fact, let me go ahead and show off. Oh, I forgot, there's actually another track I wanted to show off here. And for that, let me go grab the Super Speedway package. I'll hit two birds with one stone. So if you go into single race, you'll notice Daytona Day to Night. I have finally gotten that done. Oh, and also you'll listen to the sounds. You might recognize those sounds. The sounds are from NASCAR 15. I didn't like the way that the engine sounds are on NR, so I went ahead and changed them, and I think they sound wonderful. Really, really like them. Now, this is what happens. This is what happens if you click on the race. Pretty neat, huh?
Coming to the green, buddy. Coming to the green.
And I actually have a couple of options for that. You can use, I think I have a couple of options. I'll have to take a look. Just now realizing that the restart zone is not labeled here for some reason. So I will have to fix that. But anyway, you can see how Daytona is. Look around the track here.
Old driver, just a different day, buddy. Way to work 'em. Clean air here, buddy. Let's just get a nice rhythm up here.
I'm going to lift a bit so I can show you how strong the draft is. But I'll have to do an update to fix Daytona, so that's a patch that'll be incoming. You can expect. Probably be in patch 1 for this. Although patch 1's going to include all the setups. So of course we're going to do testing before that patch comes out. And you can see the draft here. This is what the draft is like. And this is with only 2 cars. So there's no energy in the pack. As you can see, the draft is already quite strong. Also, the car is very stable to contact, even in the corner. Also, as you can see, the tandem kind of actually works in this. You can really stay glued to somebody's bumper. I'm gonna just reset here. But so yeah, this is what Daytona looks like. Like I said, I'll have to fix the restart zone not being here. Not sure exactly why it's not here. Also, the white lines are kind of messed up. Not really sure what that's about. Also, was there a choose cone in the back straightaway? I gotta check that out. No, there wasn't. Okay, so yeah, I gotta do an update to Daytona to fix certain things about it. I'll also try to fix the white lines because they're kind of messed up. Although then again, let me check Daytona Day and see if they're... I don't think its white lines are like that. Yeah, they're not. Not sure why it's like that, but I don't particularly care. I'll probably just leave it, the white lines alone. But, yeah, anyway, I'll work on fixing it. But so, yeah, I think that pretty much does it for all the major updates I've done. I guess I'll show why there's a road course EXE, and then I'll do the dirt race. So for road courses, we have a different gearbox. Well, not a different gearbox, but different transmission settings. Test out St. Petersburg, I suppose. Yeah, we have very different gearbox settings, and this is because the way that the short tracks are, I don't want people shifting. Now, the secret with this car is you want to shift right when the dash lights up. You don't want to let the car run in the red. That will slow you down. And that's just kind of the way the engine works. At high RPM, the car actually slows down a little bit. So you want to shift right when it enters the red. I'll get the inside wall like an idiot there. Oh, that's gonna wreck. Well, that's obviously not how you want to do it, but I suppose that is one way to do it. Now I'll go ahead and show off the Dirt Series EXE. You can see the fastest way to get around here is with the slide. If you're not sliding, the car is extremely tight. Also depends on how much slide you're comfortable with putting in. Also, the outside lane does kind of work here. I say as I bounce off the wall. See if I can't get it down here. Alright, keep over driving it. Well, you can see I got a big run off the top. I just wasted it by hitting the wall. This is a much better example. Huge run. Yeah, I can't run the top to save my life, but it's got more grip up there for sure. I'm able to do it in the dirt late model, but I'm having trouble with it here. If you want to see how it looks when it's sliding, the car is quite a few inches off the ground, as you can probably see. I had to do this because I can't physically take the splitter off the car. So the only way to get it to not stick into the ground was to monster truck it. Anyway, I'll show one or two last things here before I end off this video. So to do the sound pack changes for the Gentlemen Start Your Engines, as I just completely messed that up. Come on, here we go. Put it back there. So you can go into the sound folder, and this is the Gentlemen Start Your Engine packs. You just take these and copy them back over into your sound folder. Also, for the pre-race, you have all of these different options. You have the NASCAR Thunder theme, NBC Fuel theme, the NASCAR Chase for the Cup theme, Fox's new theme. I believe that this is the one I have, the 2001 to 2007 version, and then ESPN World, and then obviously Daytona 500 intro is there as well. So those are your different options that you have. I believe you can actually, you could, if you wanted to do the NBC theme even, you could copy that, or you could just like save that as a MP3 and then convert it to .wav, and then all you have to do is call it reminder.wav and put it in here and it should work. I'm actually currently working on my own one with the bringing back the sunshine theme, the instrumental version, and having that play before the race starts. So I'm working on that. Expect that for a patch later if you want to use it. If you want to keep with Fox, you're more than welcome to do that. But now let's take a look at one of the last things that you can do here. It's in the layout folder. What you can do is you can change the UI colors for the NASCAR 09 kind of gauge. You could just delete it altogether if you didn't want the new version of that. You could go here, and I believe it's called the driving layout. You can just delete that completely. And obviously, you can just delete all of these if you don't want the main menu changes and the replay changes and all that. Just go and delete them, or replace them if you have your own you'd like. But if you want to change the color of the NASCAR 09 like UI when you're driving, just go in here and you have these different options. So I believe that should do it for everything that I've done here. If your reshade isn't working, what you want to do is you want to hop into one of these EXEs, and then you want to click the home button on your keyboard and make sure this is set to iRacing style, INI, for the preset. And then make sure you have all of this enabled when that happens. Then you can press the home button again, and it should have all of the reshade settings available. Now, when you go into your graphic options, this is what I recommend having if you can. I recommend having all this. I don't know why the mirror quality keeps going down, but this is what I recommend having for your settings. But anyway, I think that should do it. So testing for this will start pretty much as soon as the EXE goes up. I'll be on all the time willing to test this. But I'm really proud of this mod pack that I've made. I hope you guys enjoy it a lot. Like I said, I'll go ahead and fix Daytona here in probably actually right after recording this and put a patch out for it. But other than that, I really hope you guys have enjoyed this mod pack. I know I've enjoyed creating it. It's been a lot of effort to get it to where it is, but I couldn't be happier with how it has turned out, and I hope that you guys enjoy it. I hope it makes the racing a lot more competitive and a lot more fun for you guys. That's going to do it for this video. Hope you guys enjoy the mod pack, and yeah, let's go racing.